you. Hello. Well, a while ago, a long while ago, I had this great idea to decorate my house. And I did it. All except for one thing. I really, really, really wanted a tall clock, a grandfather clock or a grandmother clock. I really wanted it. I thought that this would be the perfect piece for the final decorating moment of my home. Well, clocks are expensive. I didn't have the money at the time. Actually, it was around this time. It was Christmas time. And I got a check from my parents. Got the check, looked at the check, and I said, yes, I can get my clock. I was really, really excited. But it was Christmas time, and things were happening, and I put the check away. Around mid-January, my mother called me up, and she said, hey, how would you like to go out to lunch and to go clock shopping? And I said, I'd love it. I would really love to do this. So we went out to lunch, and we went to the clock store. It was a beautiful, beautiful store. High-end furniture, very exquisite. We walked into the main entrance. We were standing looking at all this designer furniture when a very, very nicely dressed woman came up and said, may I help you? And I said, yeah. Do you have any clocks? She said, oh, we have tons of clocks. Just follow me. So my mother and I, we went through the alleyways of very, very fine furniture until we came to the clock gallery. Right away, I saw it. There was my clock. I said, that's it. That's the one I want. So the only problem was I didn't have my checkbook with me at that point. So the woman said, no problem, no problem. She started to write it all down, the numbers and the price, and then she handed me her business card. We said, great, this is wonderful. We will be back to buy the clock. So that was around mid-January, and it was kind of a windy, cold winter. I didn't get back there until around mid-March. So one day I was home with my little 8-year-old daughter at the time. She came off the bus in her little red uniform and her big red glasses, and I said, hey, I said, how would you like to go with Mommy to buy her clock? She said, I'd love to. And Annie looked up to her mother. She was one of those pure-hearted, really good little 8-year-old children. And I said, let's go. So we hopped in the car, we drove to the store, walked in. There was the beautiful, beautiful foyer. No one was there. I said, Annie, come on, let's go. We're gonna go see Mommy's clock. And so we went through the aisles. We finally got to the gallery, and I said, this is it. This is my clock. She was really excited. I said, do you like it? She said, yeah, I love it. We're standing there. This gentleman, nicely dressed gentleman, comes up and says, may I help you? And I said, yes, I want to buy this clock. This is it. So he said, great, follow me to my office. So my little 8-year-old daughter, myself, follow the man to his office. We open the door. There's a big desk. He sits here. I sit here. Annie, my little 8-year-old daughter, sits there. So he is writing out the numbers, and I pull out my checkbook, and I'm writing out my check. And as I'm writing out the check, I look over to the side, and the door to the office opens, and a woman walks in. And she looks at me, and I look at her. And she looks at me, and I look at her, and she says, I know you. And I looked at her and I said, no, you don't. She said, oh, yes, I do. And I said, no, you don't. And she said, oh, yes, I do. And she said, I have seen you before. And I said, oh, no, you haven't. Never. And she said, do you live in the area? And I said, no, I don't live in the area. And then she said, have you ever been in this store before? And I looked at her and I said, no, never. I've never been in the store before. I said, it must have been my twin sister. I said, it was my twin sister. At that point, I looked down at my 8-year-old daughter, who looks at me, and obviously she knows I'm not a twin, and she looks over at me, and I take my foot and I go, and the man looks at me, the woman looks at me, she finishes up, he finishes up the sale, she leaves, we walk out into the car, all the way home. I have to explain to my daughter why Mommy told that lie and that she should never, ever do anything like that, and that it was terribly wrong. But the good part of the story, the really good part of that incident was and is that if I ever have another good idea, whether it's decorating or anything else, I don't have to do it alone. I can always just pick up the phone and call my twin sister.